Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 10 versus 10 on one of my favourite maps, Twin Cities. We're going to be playing with the brand new 19th Motostrelecke division, which is one of the new Czechoslovakian divisions that has been recently added in the CZECHOSLOVAK DLC, or at least the early release of some of the divisions. So yeah, we're going to be giving it a good go, and as you can see, I've got a lot of helicopters down. We're going for a nice helicopter play at the start of this one, really hoping that the skies are not filled with enemy aircraft, which they often are at the moment due to the abundance of the UAVs, which you kind of have to shoot down at the start or sacrifice your supply points. So I've got multiple Mi-17s. These are carrying the VulcanHDGaming, which are the paratroopers and the leader there. We've also got multiple of the Mi-2s, and these are actually bringing in the recoilless rifles. I've got an Mi-24 with rockets following up. These have the 122mm rockets on them, as well as some Kokons, and we're also bringing up some Mi-2s here, which have the Iglas. So we're going for a very big heli drop. It's very unlikely that even if our opponents brought in some aircraft that they'd be able to shoot down all of them before they dropped, but there's certainly a high chance that some of them should go down, but so far so good. And I've got the BMP here on the backside that's going to be sort of like a secure way to capture the sector. So we're going to be capturing Elena with that, and I'm also going to be using that to capture the backside here, because although I do have the infantry leader here is to buff the VulcanHDGaming, not actually to capture the sector per se. So Mi-24 is getting into position. The helicopters are all landing on the football pitch there as well. Very cool. And we'll have them leave and refund themselves very quickly as the VulcanHDGaming get into position, ready to take on the enemy that will be heading our way very shortly indeed. Mi-24 already taking a shot. Gonna have to move that down a little bit. It was hovering so high because it was next to the high rise, but we're getting it down low. And that's going to be able to take out the MLVW with the Motostrelecke inside and potentially hit some other units there. Also hit the Kokon onto the MX-10, but unfortunately Javelin takes down the Mi-24. Now we've got artillery already coming in here, but the recoilless rifles are going to be starting to fire away as the commandos come into the high rise. So we got Itakura here against us. He's going to be playing with the CLKA today. That's the Dutch division. It was added before CZECHOSLOVAK. So recoilless rifles, you can see, do a decent amount of DPS, and better than that, cohesion loss onto these squads. So that infantry that was on the right hand side here from Legendary Death, taking a lot of cohesion loss and damage. These two dealing with the infantry here very well with the backup of the VulcanHDGaming. I've got two VulcanHDGaming at close range here pushing up as well. The nice thing about these squads is they are special forces shock train, so they are taking a little bit less damage because of the special forces. It allows them to deal with these sort of standard infantry squads much better. So we're getting loads of damage down. We're also backed up by CZECHOSLOVAK. Conehead's going to be joining us with the 303rd Tank Division, which is another Czechoslovakian division. So we're going to be combining our forces to try and take the city here. And we got a great forward position, which has really allowed Conehead to follow up. He's got the Zelotnitz with the T-21s. These have their own T-21 recoilless rifles as well. Yeah, just look at these two firing away, getting loads of damage done. 51% accuracy due to their vet. And then they've got the HE there, which is not very high, 0.8, but it's decent enough, especially with that rate of fire. Also the Mi-17 there, managing to get the 57mm rockets on target as it drops off some more reinforcements. In comes the F-111 though, with a laser-guided bomb, takes out both of those recoilless rifles very quickly indeed. With the reinforcements arriving, the Mi-17s are going to head back to base. Now they aren't going to sell because they have rockets, so we're going to actually just send them back to Conehead's PMZ here. That will allow us to get them more ammo and fix them up. Vizicati, I'm trying to push these forwards because I was really hoping to be able to take out the Leopards. So we're trying to get the RPG on target there, but unfortunately for us, laser guided bomb snipes both of those infantry as they move into that building. Really nice use by the laser guided bomb, or from the laser guided bomb by our opponent. BO-105 there with a minigun. Also putting some fire down. It's got the little minigun there on the side of the helicopter. Well, Vizicati moving into position. Again, taking out that lead is super important. We put a lot of effort into this sort of forward deploy with the helicopters, and not able to like capitalize on it would be a real shame. But we are still on the +1 overall as a team, as the center objective has been full capped by us while it hasn't been contested by them yet. But since there wasn't much AA other than this javelin here, I was hoping to take full advantage of all of the helicopters that I have in the deck, because I've got like 2 cards of Vizicati and Mi-17s. We've got the Mi-2s with the sort of recoilless rifles that we've already seen, but then I also have like Conkers and Iglas in Mi-2s, so we're going to be bringing up those. We've got 4 Conkers on the way. We've got the Vizicati here with those Mi-17s, and just making sure that they all come in before the AA sort of builds up is super important. So I move up the Vizicati here, we take out the Javelin on the right hand side. The enemy leader did get popped by the cluster, and now we've got the rocket artillery coming in as well, so that's going to allow us to fully secure the sector for a little while. But there is the Bofors there. I'm going to have to be cautious of those. You can see I'm landing these a little further back to make sure they don't get picked off by those guns. My 2 Vizicati here, they're kind of sitting down in these buildings waiting to get closer to this infantry, because ideally you want to use the shock trait on top of the special forces at the same time. That way you get like the maximum damage, but I'm going to need them to come towards me, because if I start moving into these high rises, all their support weapons, including these tanks, will be able to engage my infantry in those high rises, especially if my Conkers are not yet in position to reach out and touch those armoured units. So I'm kind of at a bit of a delay here, just waiting for the Conkers to get in position. Then we can get them to like the edge of the town, start popping all of the vehicles, and then the Vizicati can kind of move forwards. But in the meantime, it's just a matter of moving, or waiting for them to come towards us. Then my 17 is moving up, getting the rockets on target. We take out one of the mech rifles with dragons. Unfortunately, the Bofors there doing a good job, as it is 2 vet. So I'm going to be forced to back off with the second one. Always find the Twin Cities map so cinematic. Very cool. So we're able to hit the engineers with flash there. You can see the amount of units that are actually being stacked now in these buildings. So I do have a Mulker on the way. This is one of the big 203mm artillery pieces. Will be very useful for helping clean up infantry, but not only the infantry, but of course the Bofors, because I need to kind of make room for my helicopters to help out, because I've got both the Mi-24Bs, we've got the Mi-2 URPs with the autocannons on them, and obviously I'm still trying to drop in some more infantry here. Now once all of the helicopters have brought in their troops, we're going to be reliant on BMP-2s and sort of T-72s and like your more generic ground forces to get the job done. But more Vizicati. Just kind of moving back up here. We do have the T-813 in position. That's providing lots of juicy supply. Also, Conehead brought up a V3S. So this is just a big old truck that's sat behind that building, and anytime my infantry are getting damaged, we'll move back, pick up some more men, and continue forwards again. But rocket artillery coming in there, taking down those buildings. Leaving them burning. Plenty of damage. Nice job there by the RM51. This is like the launcher on the V3S. Very cool indeed. Now the artillery is starting to come in, and it's quite oppressive. We are going to have to try and avoid that throughout the game. Conkers are now in position as well though, and they've got decent veterancy, so you can see here pushing up the accuracy of the Conkers to 66% is quite nice, but as things go in and out of line of sight, it is somewhat wasting our ammunition, and we don't really want to be engaging these transports. But I don't like turning off don't target transport then, because it can be somewhat exploited sometimes. Regardless, more Mi-2s able to land and get their troops into position, so that's nice. So Igla's arriving, which will hopefully help us with the AH-1F TOW Cobra, which is getting a lot of rockets on target. At least managing to take out the TUA there. And this Igla is still trying to shoot down the TOW Cobra. Rockets hanging out. We've got the artillery here. I have a second artillery on the way. And my 17s have gone to the supply point, managed to get themselves fixed up and stuff. They're ready for the next wave of infantry coming in from our opponents. The difficulty is, as soon as something fires here, so much artillery being fired back at us. So there's 2 guns here, you can see there's more guns on the road, and those will continue to be moved throughout the game. So it's going to be difficult for us to really order counter battery. Also, in terms of my Malkas here, they're not going to be the best for counter battery. Look how cool that looks as the plane comes overhead, the rockets are flying through the air. This map is always just so glorious. So MiG-29 there, able to come round, takes out the recon helicopter on the left side. Unfortunately, F-16s are coming in and do manage to intercept the MiG. So that's going to be falling out the sky for a very long distance. But Malka's starting to get to work, and you can see that I did manage to hit the Bofors there. So we've taken out that AA piece, and that's going to allow my Mi-17s to help with the infantry moving forwards. So as those trucks now come in, you can see I'm moving up the Mi-17s to engage those. Just try and delete as much infantry as I can, as quickly as I can. Alright, here they come. 57mm rockets, firing away. Planning to just smash that mech rifle dragon, take out the mech CP escort. The key here is to make sure that you right-click a unit with these rockets, so they maintain the rocket fire on the same unit, and therefore, over time, increase the accuracy. Otherwise, what will happen is cohesion will determine which targets your rockets fire at, and you'll notice your helicopters start to target different units as opposed to finishing off the one they were targeting at. So do make sure that you manually right click on targets that you want to be killed off. Got another Mi-17 here with some more rockets ready to fire, so just swing that up, start engaging the high rises, and more Iglas arriving to help deal with enemy aircraft. Managed to take out the mech rifle dragon and the infantry there, which is great. Get the rest of the rockets onto the infantry on the left side. Brilliant stuff. And that's going to head back again. And you can see that I'm giving it an order. So we've got a shift order here. We're going to right click the supply point with the helicopter so that it automatically reloads, and then hold shift and right click back so it automatically flies back to the front. Now, since we've managed to take out a lot of the Bofors, it's time for me to get the Mi-2s to work with their 23 more autocannons. They do also have the Malyukas if we need them, but these are going to be flying in and getting those autocannons on target on this high rise. Now, the Izukari really having a bad time, slowly losing those to the artillery as the artillery continues to fall into the city, but the autocannons firing away will allow us to do more damage to this infantry. It's really just going to be a continuous grind here, especially now that a lot of my special forces have been taken care of. They're going to let the sort of Malkas do their job, the 203s. Anytime we see a big stack like this, I need to be targeting them ASAP. So Wild Weasel there getting shot down. I think one of my Iglas managed to clip that on the way out. Another Bofors now on the right hand side, means one of my Mi-2s go down, and now the PVAD's coming up on the left road. It's going to take out another one. So that's going to have to do a runner and wait until we neutralize the AA once again. All the while, you can see the Malkas immediately firing, and that Bofors in the cover here again to destroy that. And we'll also be trying to take out the PVAD, so the 23mm can be useful again, especially since I do have the reloaded MI-17s on the way. And cycling them out was super important. Also, making sure that I'm cycling out my infantry whenever it's getting damaged as best as I can is really important as well. But there you can see the markers aiming away at this infantry as they try and move back into the high rises. Beautiful bombing strike though. Unfortunately, that Su-24 getting shot down swiftly after. I do have this leader here. It's a bit far forwards, but providing some fire supports whenever units get close. Artillery ready to fire. Don't have to fire very fast, so you can see the arc here is very shallow for these. They will be hitting hard. Especially with the SBO helping out as well. That's the thermobaric rounds coming out of that BMP hull. Perfect use of it there to demolish large groups of infantry. Now, HE bomber coming in. Doesn't quite manage to get the job done. Krug hitting it on the way out. These are massive shots that these Krugs fire. Huge missiles. They can one-shot planes. Now T-813 here, trying to keep these Alataniti topped up, but of course can't do so whilst they're in combat. T-64s moving up to get their machine guns on target. I've also got my T-72s hanging about now as well, so we're moving them up to provide fire support onto enemy infantry. Somehow my T-813 did not die in this situation. They can't repair themselves, unfortunately. But we're still providing reinforcement for these infantry. I'm going to want to get that out of there soon, because it's a useful supply vehicle for using more than once, because it can carry so much supply. So I can use that, drive it all the way back to one of these supply points, pick up more supply, head back to the front, and then we'll continuously have good supply for our infantry here. But yeah, the city, as always, a burning mess after what has been a very intense engagement, but Malka's here trying to engage and take out any leaders that might be on the backside of this sector, as we are currently losing 2+ of our opponents, which is not ideal. T-55 AM1s now joining us. These are Czechoslovakian man T-55s. These are actually really good. I'm a big fan of them because they have a 2,275 meter range gun, but they also have a Dushka on the top. And this allows them to be pretty good fire support against enemy infantry, just like T-72s. Whilst also maintaining that, long-range AT capability. Unfortunately for me, the Kiowa here on the side with the Hellfire did manage to pop my BVP, and that turned out to be our last leader in the sector, because that was the one I originally had at the back, and we didn't have a second leader in this sector. So yeah, it turns out we're going to lose the sector entirely to the enemy. So I'm going to bring in my infantry leader to try and fix that. You can see here at the front of the city the T-55s coming into their own, able to pick off transports at a distance, get that machine gun fire on top of the enemy infantry as well. Loads of artillery now smashing the backside of the sector though, and that's actually going to help us sort of maintain that as a neutral objective for the time being, not completely lose it, as this RM-70 fired away there from Fox. More rocket artillery coming in from the RM-51s. Going to help do extra damage to the infantry here. And both of these high rises just completely annihilated. I'm going to be able to get my leader in now and hopefully full cap this. Malka's firing away. You see the Shasabada there getting pinned by those, taking a lot of damage as well. Really, really good shots there from the Malkas. So if we're going to fire 2 rounds each, and then I'm going to move them afterwards every single time, just to make sure they can't get hit by counter battery. And since it was very obvious where I placed my leader, I'm going to make sure I move them quite far away, so we're going to get them quite deep into the backside of the town here as we continue to contest. And you can see now I've got the BMP-2s arriving to help support. The BMP-2s did have their autocannon reduced in rate of fire, so they're not as effective as they used to be, but they are still decent fire support. MO17 just taking advantage of a lack of AA in the meantime on the right side to kill both the sniper and the mech recce, so really, really good job there. Both is not quite able to finish the job in time. The Vizzacati still holding the line. This one squad that was left over, honestly absolute heroes, but I've got to be really careful about this artillery. As you can see, that's coming in for the T-55s there. I am actually going to be making good use of this helicopter. The good old bunker tanks on the side of the Mi-17. What this is doing, you'll notice the circles here. It has a SIGINT trait, so it's able to detect how close units are. In this case, they're within the blue circle. And it also has the jammer trait, which is the big red circle. And what this is doing is downgrading the optics of enemy recon that uses radar. It prevents GSR activation and cancels artillery correction. So it's making the enemy artillery that's relying on recon much less effective. And that's going to really help maintain some more of our infantry units throughout the game. I have now brought in my own recon as well here to get us more eyes on things that are outside the city. So I've got these like RT, SHPZ, which are like special forces, shock recon with GSR trait. Unfortunately this one taking a lot of damage. This one doing a pretty good job though on the left hand side up in that high rise. Gives us good information for the artillery, so you can see here the Malka's already firing away at the PVADs, and we're hitting that nice and hard, taking out both the PVADs and the tank that happened to be next to it, so that was really, really good. PVADs was the main target there because I want to continue to be able to use the rockets from my transport helicopters. T-72 getting good shots onto the motor rifle there. The Erix is a really nice AT weapon with 26 penetration, but unfortunately it only has 1050 meter range, so in this case I'm purposefully keeping it out of range whilst engaging that so that we can kill it off without being under threat ourselves. I'm getting a bit greedy with the recon here, but since Cone is pushing through with loads of T-34-85s, thought it prudent to move up the RT SHP, get the GSR trait up and running, whilst these T-34s continue to push on through. Czechoslovakian T-34s pushing hard. Great for this situation where there's just like a lot of infantry that can't fire back, although they will slowly but surely get picked off by this Leopard C1, because the Leopard C1 here, 2275 meter range, 60% accuracy, is going to be bopping those quite easily indeed. Unfortunately we weren't able to identify the position of the enemy leader here for a little while, so that was preventing us from stopping them contesting this. Mi-17 gonna land here, get these T-55s topped up. A lot of enemy airstrikes coming in for all of these T-55s, or T-34s, sorry, as they push up. Just look at this engagement. It's just incredible. A-10 also coming in there. You could hear it briefly as the rounds landed. Coming back round to get some Mavericks on target. Taking out a T-54 in the process. And finally, we're going to identify where the leader was, the mech rifle leader, hiding in that one building on the backside there. We did have friendly rocket artillery going for that almost immediately. I'm going to be keeping the Malkas on target until we know it's gone. Also trying to get this recon back because that was the last of those squads remaining. Just such an intense engagement that continued to occur on the far side of the town. That's the thermobaric rounds coming in. Finishing off that leader once and for all. Now there's still the Leopard C1 just outside of the sector that could easily move forwards and contest, so we've got to get rid of that as well. You'll also notice on the backside here I am using like a a supply helicopter to keep these supplied. It's just useful because it can move quickly with them. And there's tank Jaegers getting taken out in reasonable time. You can see I'm also keeping these on return fire now. And the Mi-17 actually going to be the one with its rockets to take out the Leopard C1. So really nice, but another YP now can be moving in as well. We can't quite get rid of all of the leaders quick enough, and it can't hold positions far enough forwards. Really turned out to be difficult. And Motostrelecke now going to be moving into position, get the BMPs to move up. The Mi-17 still doing a good job. Since it got damaged, I did land it briefly, but it still maintains its SIGIN and its corrected shot as well. You can see now that there is the white circle on the outside as well. And the white circle is going to disappear as soon as they come in the blue circle. So that was telling us for a moment there was nothing in these buildings. But now obviously the chasseurs have just moved up, the chasseurs, so yeah, that's now become a smaller circle again. But the red circle maintains, which is good. And Malka's ready and waiting to fire once again. Hoping to maybe pick off some of those infantry as they continue to move about. The more T-72s arriving, more BMPs as we sort of move into the meaty side of our deck. Good also coming into the field as a lot of the igloos and such we had early on have been taken care of. This will give us a bit of extra range as well against those pesky helicopters, aircraft. So we did a really good job in this game. It was a nice example of this division because it does have that really like heavy helicopter assault capability. And us being able to like pull that off at the start into the city was really cool. And you can see that it has meant that instead of the engagement being between these two areas, usually it's like one side in these high rises, one side in these high rises. We've managed to actually maintain our position in this high rise throughout the game. And that's been really nice for our team to be able to continue to put pressure onto their CVs. Unfortunately for our team elsewhere, we've kind of been pushed out of Ivan. We're not doing too great at Anna as they've managed to maintain pressure on that side. So I'm really just hoping to like continue to kill CVs here so that we can get points back on the board, because currently our opponents are 1,146 points to our 134. Our BMP2s here managing to get Conquers onto the Leopard C1, T-72 continuing to engage as well. Just about managed to pull that off. Now I'm bringing up some recon, more recon. These recon are actually pretty good at close range because they do have like a satchel. So I was hoping they'd be able to deal with some of this infantry as well. That's why they're going so far forwards. Fortunately for me, I do let one of them get killed off before they unload. A bit of a mistake on my part. You can see here the Scorpions plus the satchels ready to go. So we're going to be pushing forwards. They also have shock trait, so we're able to take advantage of that, especially against the Chasseur that doesn't have special forces or shock trait. So you know, they're going to be a really good counter to them at close range. Mi-17 trying to land there. Gonna pop behind the building. Make sure we continue to fix up all of these units, because there's quite a lot of damage units here. The BMP2s, T-55, T-72, but that's just gonna drain the Mi-17 really fast. There we go, we got the Scorpions being used at close range. The Scorpions aren't like the best weapons, but I'm just trying to get within shot distance here. Unfortunately, as the shot comes in from the tank, my unit actually gets routed, so that didn't work out too well for us. We're still getting great recon due to my special forces, the one last man with his GSR trait, spotting all this stuff for us. That was great. I'd had enough of the Kiowa on the flank at this point, so MiG-29 going to be coming in to deal with that. I know that I've been targeting a lot of the AA here, so like with the Malka, so the MiG should be pretty free to come and deal with the Kiowa on the flank, because that was just using its Hellfire to great effect here to hit my vehicles. The MiG-29 does the job, manages to evade that one missile, just going to evac it immediately afterwards. Meanwhile, my own helicopters will move up on the left flank and hopefully be able to get shots and rockets onto these infantry. Finishing off the infantry before they can get back and resupply is really important in these situations because it's basically a battle of attrition. Unfortunately, it did cost the MI-17 its life, but all of my helicopters with those rockets had been getting a lot of value. See here at close range with the Stuka and the T-34 providing fire support, those infantry going down very quickly indeed. I did provide some Conkers over on this side just to kind of give a little bit of help to my teammates. Like HGM vehicles are often quite a good choice because it gives your opponent or your friendlies a sort of base of position to sort of like a base defense line to push from. So what this will do is basically stop the enemy from pushing in and then allow your teammates time to push back. Malka's still doing a good job, managed to take out another leader there, mech rifle leader on the backside taken out. Just couldn't kill all the leaders quick enough though. At least my Mi-17 is still here, making it a lot easier for us to avoid correction shot. And I've also got my supply continuously going backwards and forwards throughout this game, like both the Mi-17s and the T-813s. So BMP-2 plus T-72 easily take care of the engineers with the flash launchers. The flash launchers can't do anything about that. This T-72 was hoping to take care of the 2A4, but whilst we did manage to get the first shot there, the T-72 took a shot from the 2A4 soon after, so we're not going to risk a second shot. Both of those tanks are going to fall back to get repaired. And we've got rocket artillery coming in again from an RM-70. Smashing the back corner. Look at this. That's a lot of M1s. The Americans pushing hard across Ivan. Very difficult thing for our team to deal with. We've also been completely pushed out of Anna now. So +3 for the enemy team. 1,660 points and counting. Really got to try and leverage my position here to stop the enemy capping. But another boat was taken out is great. Opens up the use of helicopters a bit more. Malka's trying to smash the back corner here. Actually, in this case, we're just popping what I assume was another either AT unit or AA unit. It looks like actually it was a mortar we popped there with the Malkas. There's just constantly more stuff coming in. And if it wasn't one player, it was another player, and then it was another player and another player. You can see Firestorm now coming in with some of his infantry. Loads of MI-14s, oh sorry, M1A1s coming in. So now I'm going to be getting the Su-25s ready to go. And this division does have quite a lot of Su-25s, and it also has the Su-22 with the Seed, but Seed wasn't going to be particularly useful in this situation. I'm just going to be using my artillery to kill the chaparrals. The chaparrals don't use radar, so the Seed wouldn't be able to target them, but my Malkas can certainly kill them in a couple of shots. So as long as they're not moving, easy kills, and we do manage to take down 2 of the chaparrals, leaving a lot of these M1A1s vulnerable. So the Su-25s are ready to go, and they're going to be swinging in for their attack. The KH-25s ready to go. We're going to take down one, looking for the second. Managed to take out a second with the second Su-25, strafe the last one, hoping to maybe get a shot onto the ADATs on the way out. Unfortunately, not able to make the hit, but very successful airstrike. 3 M1A1s taken care of for the price of one of my Su-25s. You're going to notice even more M1A1s hanging out in the trees on the right-hand side, so the Malkas are going to be targeting them next. Now, the big thing about this and taking out the M1A1s is that they can also flank the city, so there is sort of my own personal interest in taking them out, other than just helping my ally. But my Malkas here should be able to do a decent amount of damage and certainly lower their cohesion. Managed to take out one of their supply vehicles there as well, which is really, really good. Stops those M1A1s from being able to continue the engagement. Unfortunately, my recon finally getting found here does lose us some information on the front, but we've got plenty more targets for artillery, and especially rocket artillery from our allies, as the infantry starts advancing forwards. Look at that. They're trying to move up here. It's meeting so much resistance, and all just getting wiped out so fast indeed. Conker's doing a good job here. Manages to get the M1A1. The Malka also planting shots on that at close range. And the Challenger arrives with the Humvee train. The T-72's able to maybe pick up a couple of these. Ultimately, it's just going to be up to my Malkas to hit the mark, so they're now targeting where we saw another leader come in. We got all the T-72s kind of surrounding this corner. It's a lot of fire team ATs moving up. My Motostrelecke in a good position to try and engage these. Did take out the leader again, so that worked out nicely, and all of this infantry is like right on top of each other. So easily able to pin that. Loads of artillery rounds going to be coming in there. We've also got the prams in position now. Really interesting mortar carriers. They're pretty accurate actually, but in this case able to provide reasonable 120mm mortar fire into what was a lot of concentrated infantry. So we've managed to take full control of the city, but we've lost the open here with Ivan still, unfortunately. Probably just due to our team lacking heavy tanks to take that back. Got some Hornet bombers coming in there. Very cool. Hornet cluster as well, on top of the T-54. Now we've got Kugareki coming up. We've got loads of Leopard C1s trying to push up. T-72s moving into position. I've got the leader here to provide the extra veterancy. Leads are looking at 65% accuracy with 19 pen. Able to easily one-shot those Kugarekis. Definitely do a lot of damage to the C1s should they come towards us. But also I'm going to be looking to take out the Chaparral, so we can utilize the Su-25s. The ADAT's got to go as well. On this left side, a couple of my infantry right on top of the enemy Paramarines. Also the prams now providing artillery fire onto the corner, where we know there's an enemy leader as well. And where this smoke popped kind of makes it accurate, kind of makes it obvious. You can see the Leopard C1 there. In all of these aircraft coming down, my Mi-17 did get killed, so I did have to replace that to make sure that we're not getting hit by enemy directed artillery. But alas, so many units piling into the corner of the city. Absolutely epic engagement though. Our team did manage to recover, get some infantry in on the right hand side. We're still contesting our centre. We're looking to slowly finish off these M1A1s. Got the Su-25 on the backside there, waiting to try and pounce on any remaining M1A1s. Prams continuing their engagement, as you can see, onto the mech rifles there. I'm hoping I can kill the ADATs. Do manage to hit it. Really good kill, actually, because that's a 200-point unit. Getting rid of those is really, really nice. They are limited in number. Certainly going to help for future airstrikes, if we are allowed future airstrikes, because obviously the counter is coming down slowly but surely. BMP getting good shots on. And the Malkas were doing overtime this game. I brought up a leader so that they are 2 veterancy, and that would allowing us to, you know, get extra rate of fire out of them, extra aim time, reload time, all that good stuff. Right, now we've got the next airstrike coming in. As I mentioned, with the ADATs down, it does open up the Su-25 strikes. So I got Su-25s with rockets. These are more useful for killing like infantry and light vehicles. But in this case, I was going to try and kill off maybe some M1A1s. If I can get some like good side shots in with the rockets and such, then it could be pretty good. But T-72 going to be charging across the open here. The reason I had this moving across was to try and get it into the corner of the sector here, because there's a tree line that I can hide in, which also doesn't have very long range like line of sight. So Igla doing a good job there at taking out the tow Cobra. My Su-25 rockets are going to come in and really severely damage those M1A1s. Unfortunately, wasn't able to kill one off, so it didn't really work as well as I'd planned. And one of them is going to get shot down on the way out. But Pram's going to continue to engage. Malka is going to continue to engage. We full secured the city again as Fox pushes forwards with the T-72s. We're getting to a point where there's a potential for a comeback. It's just very, very close on the points at the moment. Pram's continuing to fire. But you may have noticed that we haven't had a driver crash. Also, this is a very long 10v10, so no desync. It seems to me as though like the driver issues and the desync issue they had with the latest patch have both been fixed very quickly, so that's nice. Obviously the driver issue lasted a while, but I'm pretty sure they got fixed with SouthX, so it's really, really good news. If you've been meaning to try WARNO again, do make sure to do so. It is great fun as usual. So T-72 moving in there, we've got like 1 minute 30 left on the clock otherwise. Bringing in a couple of Su-22s. This was the point where I realised I could have used the Su-22s earlier to help deal with the ADATs, because the ADATs do use radar. But A-10 in the meantime does take out the T-72. MiG-29 coming in for the A-10, hoping to take that out. He managed to kill it. Unfortunately, well into enemy territory at this point. Su-22's taking out the Ronin 3 there on the backside, so that was nice. Artillery gonna have to fire into that corner once again. We have managed to stop the count at least, so that's good. And now F-16's coming for my Su-22s. One of the Su-22s going to get away. F-16s flying over all of the AA are going to get shot down. Now their Su-22 going to get forced back by enemy AA, but eventually shot down. So it was a really sort of interesting moment, because at this point, you know, the enemy is on a +1. We've managed to contest this sector, and it looks like they're getting low on M1A1s to continue the contest. So that's great. We're managing to push in with T-64s and T-72s. We're still managing to kind of hold on to the far side of the sector, as I can't imagine they have that much more infantry left. Our artillery was getting great value throughout this game. Our center has been contested nicely by our team. We just need to get a leader basically back into Anna. And Dutch Power here does have a leader ready to go. Unfortunately, I don't think he realised that he could push that up sooner. Regardless, Vidikari, the heroes, still going at it. Still fighting off all this infantry that's trying to push into the city. All the artillery that came in on the left-hand side was re-securing the sector, so it's only a matter of time. It was at this point that I pinged Dutch Power to try and get him to move his Mutchison forwards, because that would cancel out the +1. As now an ERC-90 Sage has pushed into the city, but unfortunately that's going to be it. And what a fight it was for that city on the bottom side. Incredible fight. Really, really fun one. 45 minutes, 3 seconds. 7,950 kills to 6,685 losses for myself. And a great demonstration, I think, of this division and its potential. Particularly using the heli drop at the start of the game, I think is really, really fun. Now, of course, you do need to make sure that you are somewhat covered by aircraft. If you can get your teammates to do that, it's great. Yeah, the Mi-17s getting some extra kills with their rockets is fantastic. Means you get values out of those helicopters as well. You can see here the Malka, or the 203 mil artillery, just absolutely dominating the AA, and then also killing a few units here and there for us. Again, great value out of the rocket helicopters that brought in my infantry. This Vizicari just doing a great job for us as well. It doesn't look like my infantry actually got that many kills, but the T-72 here, good job. Again, another 203 getting kills. The tanks kind of seal the deal, and the 30 mils as well from the BMP2s. We got the Prams getting a reasonable amount of kills as well. Probably could have brought in the Prams earlier. You might notice how the Coop killed itself and the Igla killed itself. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of a missile problem in the game now. But hopefully they'll fix that one sooner than later as well. I think generally speaking, Eugen's very good at fixing bugs that occur in the games. They're very good at getting on top of those. It's just unfortunate that this year the driver bug was one that they just couldn't fix for so long. But it seems to me like I'm not having issues with it personally. Let me know if you guys are still having issues with the driver crash, but I think it's more or less fixed. Regardless, let's not let it take away from how awesome that game was. I think the new South Ag divisions are super fun to play, and if you've got the expansion pass or the gold edition of the game, you can try them out now for yourself as well. I'm not sure if there's an ETA on when the South Ag Army General is coming, but hopefully sooner than later. But for now, that's it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.